Boeing and Europe's EADS, the parent of Airbus, both submitted bids today for the contract to build the next Air Force's next generation refueling tanker. We heard from Boeing's CEO earlier this week. Now our chief Washington correspondent Peter Cook standing by with EADS's top official in the United States. Peter?
Mark, thanks very much. I'm joined here by EADS North America Chairman Ralph Crosby. Mr. Crosby, thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be here, Peter.
You've submitted the 8,000-page bid for this aircraft, try and win this long-running contract. Let me ask you, first of all, how confident are you, given how long this has taken, nearly a decade, that at the end of the day, the Pentagon's going to give you all a fair shot?
Well, I'm very confident. Leave it to the Pentagon. They're going to follow the rules that they've laid out, and the rules are specific. And you know, we've given a conforming proposal. We've met all of their requirements. It'll take a while to go through the process, but they've been very, very fair about this.
Let me ask you, just the overhanging all this, of course, is the battle between Boeing and Airbus and the questions about EADS being a European company, the parent company, of course. What would you say to American taxpayers, members of Congress even, who question why the Pentagon should even consider a European provider of this aircraft, given the fact that it has an American choice, Boeing?
Well, I think there's two answers. The first answer is we're already doing this for the United States Army. We are a prime contractor for the Army. We're delivering helicopters every month from Mississippi, and so we're contributors not only to the national security, but also to the national economy. Aerospace is global, and it's true that both of us have lots of foreign content on our various airplanes. Turns out this airplane for us is newer than an old Boeing airplane, so they had outsourced less. The real thing, though, that matters the most is that this competition is about getting the best equipment for our men and women who fly these airplanes for the next 50 years. Our grandchildren and great-grandchildren are going to be flying these aircraft. And you don't want to buy anything that's less than the best, and the best way to get it is to have competition. Boeing was tried sole source to do this once, and it didn't work out very well. And I think the government is absolutely committed to competition, and competition has to be fair, and we're being treated well.
Well, let me ask you about the fairness factor, because,
Sure.
of course, the World Trade Organization dispute has also surfaced, sort of overhanging this, the question about whether or not European governments are providing illegal subsidies to EADS and whether or not that's a factor here. Again, members of Congress say you all should be penalized in your bid as a result. How your response to that?
Well, like everything in this business, it's a bilateral issue, and there is a bilateral trade dispute. And what we have today is a committee report, a commission report on one side. The other side, the case against Boeing, hasn't yet reported out. So from a policy perspective, first of all, introducing trade matters into defense procurement is already a difficult, I guess, question. The second piece, though, is how do you do it practically? How do you figure out who to charge what? The only party in this dispute that's ever been found guilty of by the WTO of illegal subsidies is Boeing. Under the Foreign Sales Corporation approach, which gave tax credits to foreign sales companies, offshore companies, Boeing got $2.2 billion worth of illegal subsidies. How are we going to count that, if you want to measure this up? And how are you going to count future subsidies? Or how are you going to count subsidies that Boeing or Boeing's partners might get on other programs? Policy-wise and practically, it's very difficult. This Pentagon has made clear that they will not take this issue into consideration because they don't know how to do it and they don't want to do it.
Let's talk about the plane real quick. First of all, are you confident at the end of the day, when these sealed secret bids get unsealed at the Pentagon, that your bid, your plane, is going to cost less than Boeing's?
This is a value-based approach. So we have cost and we have capability, and there's a capability factor. Every time we have competed against Boeing, head-to-head, 767 versus our aircraft, we have won. And it has always been a value measurement, price and capability. Our capability is clearly greater. The question is whether their price for a smaller airplane can balance our superior capability. I feel good about our odds on this one.
Let me ask you just finally, if you lose this bid, what does it mean to EADS North America, your defense business here in the U.S.? You've talked a lot about the jobs that would come if this plane is built here, if you all win this contract. What if you don't?
we'll continue doing what we're doing. We're providing capabilities at the U.S. Coast Guard. We're providing the capabilities in terms of rotary wing aircraft to the U.S. Border Protection Agency, and we're providing helicopters to the U.S. Army on a basis, quite frankly, which is setting a new standard for acquisition. Every airplane on or ahead of schedule and at cost.
Ralph Crosby, we thank you for the time. We'll be watching for the results mid-November. Mark and Julie, we should learn from the Pentagon. We should point out we did offer Boeing an opportunity to speak today. We did hear from the CEO earlier this week as well.